Well, the other big trigger, of course, has been the whole domestic consumption story, the 7th pay commission, good monsoon. What will all of that mean? Saugata Gupta, MD and CEO of Marico, now joins us. Saugata, hi, good morning. So, you have tailwinds in both sides of economy. You have for urban economy, of course, the 7th pay commission and its recommendations getting implemented. And from a rural point of view, it looks like we are set for a good monsoon after 2 years of drought. Do you think this will translate into good earnings for your company and for the sector as a whole in this financial year?
If you really look at it, I think if the monsoon pans out well, you can see a recovery in consumption in the rural areas definitely from the second half. As regards the urban market, there are some green shoots, but I think with continued good economic growth, and if food inflation is under control, and of course crude prices and all other factors are favorable, I think obviously things like the pay commission, OROP will give more money in the hands of consumers. So I see definitely a better second half for the sector. As far as the immediate this one is concerned, I think there is obviously the impact translating into consumption will, you need to wait for a couple of months for that.
Okay. Saugata, hi, good morning. I wanted to understand a little bit about how you plan to drive the rural penetration. Currently, rural contributes about 34% to your sales, and you have a target to take it up higher. You've stayed away from low unit or price pointed packs so far, but do you think that you would have to resort to that in order to drive further rural penetration?
I think we believe that for categories which are heavy consumption, I think even a 5 rupee and a 10 rupee unit packs are low unit packs. It need not necessarily be sachets. And yes, I would see in the next few years far more emphasis on these packs. We now have a critical mass. I think what is important is some traction in terms of brand equity and a critical mass in distribution for us to drive more into the rural. We have made a journey from 25 to 33-34%, and I believe in the next couple of years this number will go up.
Okay, Saugata, one negative which stands out is that over the last say 6 months or so, you had decent tailwinds in terms of lower raw material prices. And of course, some of that had to be passed on as the competition emerged stronger. But still, the volume growth has been quite anemic as far as the domestic volume growth is concerned, still in single digits. Do you see that still being in the low single digits as we move forward?
So we have been delivering around 7 to 8% growth in the domestic in the last couple of quarters. As I said, we expect that number to move up hopefully in the second half of the year, more towards the 8 to 10 and beyond if things go out well. As of now, obviously, as I said, that any impact in consumption, whether it's urban or rural, will take some time, at least a couple of months before that kicks in, because I think by September you will have a full visibility of the monsoon, you will have a full visibility of how inflation plays through. So I think the sector should get better volume growths going in the second half. But I think in the first half, my belief is that I think we will continue to be in a good performance, will be translating into a 7-8% volume growth.
Okay, and will that second half volume growth come with the pricing power as well, or do you think you'll have to take some impact or some hit on the margins?
See, I think as far as the sector is concerned, the first imperative is to ensure that consumption comes up. Obviously, if there is continues to be low food inflation, better consumption, I think it's a sweet spot to get some pricing back. And you could see some of the pricing power coming back in the second half.
Okay, just to follow up to what my colleague was asking you, in the last 6 months, you've taken about 18% price cuts in your parachute product. So you've been pretty proactive on that front. How has the market share been? Have you lost any market share to unorganized players? And would you be taking any more price cuts in order to pass on copra prices in parachute itself?
I think the copra prices have bottomed out. We consciously took this price cut because we believe that, especially when there was sluggish rural consumption, it is imperative to protect both volume growth and market share. This proactive strategy has ensured that we continue to actually maintain a certain volume growth as well as maintain market share. And I don't see any more price cuts. And I think if there is inflation, we should be in a position to take actually price increases in the second half of the year.
Okay. What about ad spend, Saugata? Because that's something which for this entire sector has picked up. Even for you, the last reported number actually was a big jump of 33%.
You need to see the ad spends over annualized basis rather than a quarter, but I believe that the ad spends will be a tad higher. Our philosophy essentially has been that whatever savings in input cost you pass on to the consumer in terms of more value and also invest behind innovation. So maybe that number could be in the region of 12.5 this year.
Okay, then just one final question from my end. You know, when we spoke to you the last time, you had indicated to us that rural demand is under pressure, and in fact it slipped below urban growth as well. Have you seen any pickup at all? The monsoons have started off well. Have you seen a pickup in rural demand, and when do you expect full-blown rural revival to take place?
See, as I said that you will have a far clearer visibility towards September. I believe the entire recovery will start happening significantly September onwards, and if the monsoons do well, in fact, then it will tend to lead to higher rural growths. See, as of now, obviously in places where there has been 2 consecutive years of drought and an intense summer, I think there are a couple of states where rural demand continued to be stressed out in the last 5-6 months. But I think sentiments have improved, but sentiment doesn't necessarily lead to consumption immediately. It will have a 2-3 month lag.
Okay, Saugata, we'll leave it at that. Thank you for joining us and taking us through the mood across the FMCG sector and whether there is any up move in demand or not. 0.5% for the Sensex and the Nifty. The mid caps are doing very well.